Hi, I'm John Mallis. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Friday morning. Glad you're here. We've got two guests in the studio today, and we're talking about a lot of things. First up on the agenda will be the teachers' strike. It's looming in Fresno Unified School District. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Darling plant, and also we'll touch on, just briefly, the two most polarizing figures in the entire city of Fresno, my friends. 436-ME-TV, option 11. No, I'm not one of them. Anyway, Connect with Me starts right now.
Tonight I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
And back here on the program on a Friday morning. I'm so glad you're here. Glad the weekend is here. Another week in the books for Connect with Me. A couple of quick programming notes for Monday. We're going to have Habitat for Humanity in the house and a first-time guest there. I won't tell you who it is, but he's the new executive director. He's been there for a little while, but he's not been on this program yet, although we have had Habitat for Humanity on the show in previous occasions. Anyway, on Tuesday, a return appearance by the one and only Tommy Tran from Channel 30. He'll talk about Derek Carr's season, Fresno State football, and also who's tops in high school football. That's coming up on Tuesday. And I've got to mention just briefly, just a couple of seconds here, congratulations to all the inductees last night at the Sports Hall of Fame banquet downtown, Ernie Valdez Hall. That took place, and our friend Roger George inducted. Of course, you all know Roger George. He was here on this program just a couple of days ago, and they all got inducted, 5 inductees, including Melvin Eli, of course, the former great basketball player at Fresno State, played under Coach Jerry Tarkanian. For now, you're watching us live on Comcast, Channel 375, as usual. It's Monday through Friday, 10 to 11, 436-ME-TV, option 11, if you want to call in, 13.1 and 43.6 over the air. That's with free television. It's free broadcast television if you have an antenna. Then the replay, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 13.6 U2, 8 o'clock tonight, 4.6 Biz TV. No World Series to speak of to interfere with any of those replays. Anyway, the World Series is over. Thank goodness. Anyhow, with each passing day, a teacher strike seems more and more likely at this point. Beginning on Monday, the two sides will get together with a third party to see if they can hash out their differences. Actually, a recommendation will come out by that third party. I want you to roll the videotape, and we'll take it from there, my friends. It's been more than a month now since union negotiator, this man right here, John Bath, took to the microphone and led the charge for the teachers at People's Church in Fresno. Here's what he did. He asked the teachers, what do you want to do? Do you want to strike? And what was the response? It was overwhelming. Thousands voted to authorize a strike for the first time in nearly 40 years. Last time it happened, it was an 8-day walkout back in '78. Both sides at this point, though, blaming each other. Even at an emergency meeting between the district officials and the teachers last Friday, the two sides couldn't come closer together. So what happens now? Well, on Monday and Tuesday, that neutral third party meets with both sides and will offer up a recommendation on a contract. And it will be up to both sides either to accept it or to reject that proposal, okay? At this point, the key issues are salaries and benefits, mainly class size, special needs classes, safety, and discipline. Live in our studio right now is David Taub from GV Wire. He's been here before, as is the man sitting next to him, Doug Vagim, former Fresno County Supervisor, ran for mayor. He was behind all these measures that we all have talked about in the past. 436-ME-TV, option 11. What are these two men hearing about the teacher strike? What will it mean to the city of Fresno? Even if they walk out for like one day, will it make a statement? 1 or 2 days, will it make an impact? I don't know. Are they getting paid too much? I'm talking about the teachers, not the administrators. 436-ME-TV, option 11. Back with our program in just a moment.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Frigidaire Gallery appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start, but you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Time for that upgrade to an Energy Star qualified French door Frigidaire Gallery refrigerator. Quality appliances for the way you live. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise.
Not sure what you're watching? Want to see what's coming up next? Or just want to browse what's on without the hassle of flipping channels? Your wish has come true. Now you can view schedules for all the digital TV channels available in the Central Valley. Get local weather updates and forecasts, and listen to nationally syndicated Biz Talk Radio, all on KVHF 4.1. Rescan your TV now, then tune in to Digital Channel 4.1 to start enjoying the all-new TV Guide.
Back here on the program with our two guests, David Taub, of course, of GVWire.com, and Doug Vagim. Welcome to you both. By the way, before I get started here, I have to mention Bill McEwen goes over to GV Wire from the Fresno Bee. How are things going with our friend Bill?
Things are wonderful. I like working with him. All our numbers are up. People, if they didn't notice GV Wire before, they are noticing it now. So thank you for reading, and we're just going to continue our good work. We're going to cover City Hall. We're going to cover larger state issues. We got a lot of good stories coming on. So check out GVWire.com every day, twice a day, 3 times a day if you really like us.
Yeah, 24/7, right? Just like you go to our YouTube page and watch this 24/7 until you.
It's up 24/7.
I know. And so let me just ask you this, because I'm going to have the mayor here. I don't know. I forget. He agreed to come on. Well, Mark Standriff agreed to bring him. Our friend Mark Standriff. Well, thank you, Mark. I appreciate that very much. No, he's good. I get along with Mark. He's good. He's been good to us. And so here's the thing. You guys are not allowed to cover City Hall. What's going on with that?
Well, that's not the case.
Okay.
If the First Amendment still applies, we can cover City Hall. We can write about City Hall or City Council as we want.
But you're not being issued like credentials or anything, or
that's
giving,
true.
or you're not given notices.
They just don't invite us to events.
News conferences. Yeah.
So we'll cover it another way.
Yeah.
That's just perfectly fine.
Yeah. How is the website evolving? How has it changed?
I think with Bill McEwen on, we have his talents, and he writes, his column, which has a big following, in the area, and also we're doing a little more editorial.
Right.
We are, taking more resources, not just from our GV Wire staff, but also using some resources from inside sources, and taking a look at other stories that matter to the GV Wire staff, to matter to the GV Wire management that we put out. Obviously, immigration is important to us. Obviously, issues of religious issues are important to us, and we're going to do it. We ran some stuff. Yesterday was the 100th anniversary of the Balfour Declaration, that the British proclamation that the land that was known as Palestine back then should be a Israeli state and a Palestinian state, and we took a look at what's happened in 100 years since. So, we take a look at local issues. We'll take a look at bringing you the best analysis and stories on broader issues as well.
Okay. Let me start with the teachers, because I did talk about that in the monologue. And let me start with you, Doug, since David had the first swipe here, talking about GV Wire and how great it is, and I know you read it too. So here's the thing. It may not be necessarily all about salaries and benefits, because the salary thing, I mean, there's a little bit of a difference of opinion here. Hang on, I'm going to put this caller on hold. Caller, I'm going to put you on hold because I got to ask Doug a question. The district wants to pay 3.5% the first year, 0.0 the second and third. Teachers want 4, 3, and 3. It's 90-10 as far as healthcare, so it comes down to class size. The teachers are saying, we're tired of ratios. We want it capped off. This class size thing is a huge deal, as is special education. How is this thing going to come down? Is it going to be like a domino effect, and we're just going to have a strike? What are you hearing?
Well, first of all, if they're that far apart on salaries, where one wants an increment each and every year, and the district wants to come out with a 1 increment and let it go for 3 years.
Well, they want to go year to year. Let's see what happens.
But the fact they're far apart on that then.
Yeah,
There's no doubt
yeah.
about that. But the other issue, of course, is class size.
But John Bath has told me that salaries, at least from what I'm getting, I could be wrong, but the implication I got was salary wasn't at the top of the list. It was really class size that was at the top of the list.
Yeah, and I think the health benefit's a big issue with it.
And health benefits.
Huge
Yeah.
issue with them.
90-10.
Because of the fact of that copay and that deductible, it's really killing a lot of folks. When other districts around, as we mentioned before when I was on your show last time, that some of these rural districts have 100% coverage as far as no deductibles and no copays. So it's a competitive marketplace. The districts are trying to get teachers out from the city of Fresno to come out to where they are, so they compete. And a lot of these teachers in Fresno start looking at that and say, wait a minute, those are pretty good benefits. How come we're not getting them?
Will the teachers be pushed into a corner? They'll have no other choice than to strike?
Well, if they strike, as I said before, they're really going to hammer themselves because of the fact the last time they did it in '78, did you know 3 of the district trustees got thrown out of office?
No, I didn't know that.
It's a big deal, and
Wow.
and the public won't stand for it. And the fact that the district's advertising already that they're going to pay $500 a day for those replacements that are taking the place of those that walked out, that adds up to about $90,000 a year if you take it to the full 180 days teaching.
Yeah.
So
Hang on, caller. I'll get to you in a moment. David, I got to say, just feeding off what Doug said, the district can look at Central Unified. Central Unified School District does not pay their employees or teachers retirement. They have to create their own retirement account. They're going to look at that and say, hey, if you don't like it, go over to Central. They don't have anything. David?
I don't know if essentially that's the case, but take a look at some of the other strikes that are being threatened or has already happened around the state. In Calaveras, just earlier or last month, they walked out for 4 days. Mm-hmm. And in Sacramento, similar situation. They are threatening. And it's going to happen if the Fresno Teachers Association is not satisfied, or if the FUSD does not meet the needs or meet the findings of this fact-finding third party next week. District Bob Nelson, the superintendent, says that they will abide by what the fact-finding says. Is that going to be good enough for the teachers? Will Fresno Unified follow up on what they say they will?
Well, and of course you talked to John Bath, the teachers, by Bob Nelson saying they'll abide by whatever the neutral third party says, or the recommendation, they took that as the interpretation as being, the district has given up. They've given up.
I don't know if it's given up. I mean, anytime you have these contentious labor negotiations, you have to compromise.
Yeah.
No side doesn't get 100% ever. They're close on the money, they're close on the benefits. Is that worth walking up over 90% versus 95% when it comes to health benefits? That's up to the teachers.
Yeah.
They're close on the money. Is that really worth it? But I think it's really the class size that's the big issue, and also it is about safety. And here's the thing: the LCAP.
It's class size and special education, the two top, and safety and
right.
discipline.
But I think another big bone of contention is that the LCAP funds, certain funding they get from the state, the union wants them to spend it on classroom programs, and they think that the union or the district is kind of keeping away for a rainy day for reserves. So I think that's a little bigger issue. It's complicated. You're talking about, well, do we spend the money? Do we keep it on our reserves? Do we spend it on programs? Do we spend it on teacher salaries? That's where the contention is, where I don't see much movement going on. Where I don't know there's much wiggle room as there is where, where they seem close in the other areas. This area, they don't seem so close, and this is probably the bone of contention, that if they can't find a neutral ground, that's what they're really striking on. It's serious.
I know.
They're not bluffing here.
I know, and they're being inspired by those other teachers that are threatening to go on strike in Sacramento Teachers Union, a very powerful union. By the way, you mentioned the reserve, David, $155 million for Fresno Unified in the bank as a reserve. Caller, you've been patient. Go ahead, you're on the air with our two guests.
David and Doug, I think the whole issue here, it's going to be giving push and pull and whatnot, but the one more thing that I see is the ones that are hurting are the children that are who want to get an education, and here they are grown up fighting over this and that. And I understand teachers are being underpaid. Okay, so it's one of those issues that when they got into teaching and whatnot, they thought about the kids before. Now they're not talking about the kids. All they're talking about, we want to salary this and class size. That class size will never happen, okay? So they have to deal with that. If they get maybe the raise and benefits, they have to think about the children, okay? Because a lot of those kids need the help, and if the teachers don't give it, who's going to give it? That's really my question to you guys. How can we do it to help them? Thank you.
Who wants to pick it up?
Well, I think both sides will say they're doing it for the children. When mom and dad argue, it's always the kids who. But the unions say we're doing it for the children. The union is going to say we're doing, or the district and the union both say, "Oh, we're fighting. We're doing it for the children." So
yeah,
And that's one of the issues you get in when public employees start taking threats of strike. That's been not a very old thing. It's been around just since the 70s when public employees started threatening and starting walking out.
Yeah.
As I said before, I don't believe they should be able to, because they have the ability to change their bosses by a vote. And they've been getting very politically active, where if you work for a private firm, you can't.
That's not as easy as it sounds to get somebody off the board.
Well, they've tried awful hard over the years by forming.
Look at Brooke Ashton, okay? I mean, people are trying to remove him, and they can't do it.
But to the gentleman's point, he's absolutely right. You cannot and you should not forget the fact that you're going to disrupt a whole bunch of students, particularly those that are going to go on to a 4-year college, 2-year college, what have you. They need those grades. They need those projects. And if you're in your junior year, you're doing just as much work for your college readiness as you are anything else. And so it's a real problem when you reach a stalemate like this. And my fear is that a mediator is going to come in, and typically what a mediator does is they take the half out of the middle. And they say, okay, we'll give you some, and can you both accept it? Now, hopefully the district has got not their best hand on the table. They can adjust some and make it work. The fear about losing the $100 million and dipping into it too far is, as I said before, with this new income tax waiver of not being able to deduct that by the top wage earners in this state, I'm telling you, this state is going to have a world of hurt of income, and they're going to have a lot of these top wage earners leave this state. And it's going to cause a problem. I think the district is wise having a good reserve, because they're going to need it.
By the way, you mentioned people leaving the state. You had a great story on your website talking about the millions and millions of Californians that are fleeing the state of California. In short, I read the article. Just in 10 seconds, why are they leaving?
Because
I can think of one word, but go ahead.
Cost of living. Drew Phelps, one of our GV Wire staffers, analysis. He did a great job on that. It's because California costs a lot to live in.
Taxes. That's the word I was thinking.
And this is before their story is before this new income tax loss of deduction. They're not going to be able to deduct your 10+% California income tax anymore.
Well, that's a big issue. That's Devin Nunes, David Valadeo, the 14 members of the California Republican delegation. I don't know that's a popular one, even to sell to their own Republican base, because, yes, you can say, well, that's a political move that Donald Trump wants to punish California, meaning that you can't deduct your high California state taxes against your federal income taxes anymore. Well, guess what? Republicans live in California, too, and they enjoy that benefit of deducting their state taxes against their federal taxes.
Well, yeah, that's the benefit we've all always had.
Except they're doubling the standard automatic deduction. 90% of Californians don't deduct their income tax now because it's swept into their standard deduction. No one has the 90%. They don't have enough to have itemized deductions. Now they're going to double that. So that means there's probably going to be over 90% of Californians. In these two gentlemen's district, whether it was Valadeo or Nunes, or the other Republicans in California, probably over 95% of their constituents aren't going to have a problem, because it's going to be swept into the double deduction that they're going to get. So only 1% to 2% of Californians, but there's still a lot of money, because 1 or 2% of the taxpayers nationwide pay 40% of the taxes.
Say that again.
1 or 2% of the taxpayer of the ratepayer or the taxpayers pay
40%. Pay 40%.
Pay 40% of the revenue into the federal treasury.
Quickly.
Capitalism.
So
4-3.
that's where the money comes from. So
Yeah, yeah, and don't forget the gas tax went up. Gas tax went up by 12%.
Right.
Where's that money going? It's supposed to go to fix our roads. Right. 436 Me TV option 11. Back with our program in just a moment.
When you're looking for KitchenAid innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, will help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified KitchenAid appliances save you energy and money, and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
The following is another list of things you will not hear on Me TV programs. Man cave, baby bump, whatevs. Double half-calf mochaccino, faux hog, redonkulous, totes adorbs, hella, holla, YOLO, cray-cray. And Me TV is still Kardashian-free. This is what you will hear on Me TV programs.
Welcome, Dana. The Twilight Zone. About bulls.
I object, Your Honor.
Mr. Grant.
I hear you right. You heard me right.
Me TV. Thanks for listening.
Back here on the program, David Taub and, of course, Doug Vagim. And so we're talking about this teacher strike. Hey, let's roll a piece of videotape, and it's called Special Education. It's got sound on it. This is John Bath, the union negotiator. Here's what he had to say during that meeting, October the 3rd, to all the teachers.
But we certainly have a lot of things that are unaddressed. We have a phenomenal special education team. I can tell you they worked so many hours putting together this giant proposal of all what they wanted to see, the best things for special education in Fresno Unified. We would go to the meetings June, July, September, October, November, December, January, February, and we would sit at the table. And Mr. Eisvog, the human resources, another nice man, and he'd sit down and say, hey, it's going to be a short day. We don't have much. It's going to be a short day. We don't have much. It's going to be a short day. We don't have much. They literally brought nothing to discuss. Nothing. It became infuriating to our special education team. They thought they were going to get into the nitty-gritty. They were going to talk to Fresno Unified special education people and make some change. It still, to this day, hasn't happened. Finally, 4 or 5 days ago, Fresno Unified, because we've been relentless, they responded on special education. Do you want to know what their proposal basically says? We're going to let you be on a committee. We're going to put you in a room and we're going to train you some more. What do you think of that, special education teachers? That sound good? Absolutely not. We are talking about concrete change, changing caseloads, identifying how things are done in Fresno Unified when it comes to special education. We all know the money is there. And here's where I really got into it and really nerded out on the numbers. Every time they project the numbers, they're wrong. And they're not wrong by 10 million or 20 million. They're wrong by 100 million, 130 million, 140 million. FUSD's CFO has hid the money from the school board and hid the money from the teachers over and over and over. Everybody knows this game. We've had it, we've come together, and we want to use these resources in ways that we can see on the campuses.
David, did you hear John Bath? He said, we want concrete change. We know the money's there. Use it for special education.
Well, once again, goes back to how does the district spend its budget? And, money will always lead to arguments.
But if the money's there, doggone it, Doug, why don't they use it for special education? Why don't they use it to reduce class size, hire some more teachers?
Well,
that's a good argument.
Well, obviously, everybody has their purpose of asking for more, and it's usually a just reason why they do it.
But this is not the case of asking for more money in their pockets. They're wanting more money so they can have more resources to help the kids.
Yes, except what the district's point of view, and I'm not going to take sides on this.
No, I'm not taking sides either.
But the district's point of view is that there is a balancing act of having to make sure that we have sufficient funds for everything else, in addition to the fact that we have to have some type of prudent reserve. If we go too far into it and we get into tough times, we're in a world of hurt. We have control of it right now. If we let it go, no one's going to come in and give us more money unless there's another tax measure or something. And I don't know if Californians are ready for another tax measure.
I don't know. Caller, hi, you've been patient. You're on the air with David and Doug.
Hi, John. Mr. Early Mart here, since you like to call your guests by their hometown.
Okay.
I was wondering, wouldn't it be better, since the Hispanic population is the majority population in California, that the schools teach in Spanish? Wouldn't the students achieve the higher grades? And we have a Spanish second language courses for those who don't speak it?
I don't think that's ever been an issue anywhere.
Well, first of all, Spanish used to be co-language in California up to 1890. Did you know that?
Okay, no, I didn't.
Every document had to be in English and Spanish. So
Stay there,
It's not
caller,
so
hang on.
strange that the Spanish is around, because we are a post-Mexican territory, and of course, going back, a Spanish territory.
Yeah.
The fact that Spanish is taught and is considered to be a second language is in the fact that California is part of the United States of America, and English is the language of the United States of America, and it should be the language that rolls off of everyone's tongue in any form wherever you go the rest of your life. Now, it's important that those who don't understand English, that there is some allowance that they can be caught up to speed. And that's something that we've done over the last, 30, 40 years. Before, I remember my parents telling me when they were born here, but they knew a lot of folks that weren't born here. They were immersed in school with their English. Whether you speak...
Yeah, speaking of which, there are immersion schools at the elementary level in Fresno Unified that I know some of the trustees are very proud of, that they do the dual language. So there is some of that, I guess, to a degree at Fresno Unified.
How many immersion classes are there? Do you know?
Not
really, but I mean, but what grades? What grades?
Well, at the elementary school level, so
Okay.
Kindergarten through 6 at least.
Yeah.
Then there are some trustees who will be able to answer that question with much more detail.
All right, caller, are you satisfied with the answers? I mean, it seems like common sense to me. I mean, English is the preferred and standard language of this country, and California is part of the country.
For now.
For now.
I know that here in Early Mark, 98.5% of the population is Hispanic. I can't communicate with my neighbors, haven't been able to for a long time, because
Yeah.
they don't bother learning English. So I figured it'd be better if the school's taught in the native language, or the language that the kids are accustomed to, and they would be doing better grades.
But
I'll
here's
tell you
the
what,
problem.
John.
Here's the problem, caller, and just hear me out on this just for a moment. That's all well and good, and it's great that they would do that, maybe have more immersion classes, maybe up it to middle school, maybe high school. But then ask yourself this question. If they don't Learn English, once they graduate from high school or college, how are they going to get a job if they don't know the English language?
Well, there's a lot of places now you can't get jobs in California if you don't know Spanish, because that's what they employ.
Well, no, I mean but that's a second language. I mean, English is first, and then Spanish or Armenian or
Hmong in this area.
Hmong in this area. It's a second language, and so if you're bilingual, that's great, but not every job requires bilingual education. Do you know of any jobs where it just requires you to speak Spanish only and not English?
Well, every jobs that cater to the Hispanic community, which is the majority population in California, again, such as stores and hotels and motels, restaurants, etc. But I bet you the governor takes that 12% gas tax and puts it towards his bullet train. It's just that he does. Watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a shift.
But to the caller's point,
Wow.
as David mentioned, the school districts all over California have a consideration of the language that you come in with. And if you are proficient in English, they help you not necessarily by just cold cashing you into a system that only is English. They put you in slowly, and there is a bilingual situation there.
Right, being bilingual is great, but I'm not sure excluding English altogether and make it exclusive to Spanish, it's going to help anyone.
I've never heard anybody advocate for that except for this caller here.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, caller, thank you for the tip. I appreciate it. Thank you for the call. Thanks for watching. We're going to take a quick break here on Connect with Me. Change our topic. Back in just a moment. We have an open phone line.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, And now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean Dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Want to create something extraordinary? Create perfection. Our lifestyle appliances make it easy. KitchenAid, Ventura TV Appliance, and you, when only the best will do.
All right, back here on the program, 436 MeTV option 11 if you want to call in. I do want to change topics here, guys, because this is a huge issue in West Fresno. I want to roll the tape on Darling International. Darling International smells. That's right. That's been the complaint, my friends. It recently came up for a vote at the Fresno City Council, and basically this thing has been around for 60 years. Belgravia Avenue, near Church and Fruit Avenues. Go ahead and roll the videotape. We'll talk over it. So the vote, were you at the council meeting for the vote?
I was. It was.
Here's the plant, by the way.
It was something a long time coming, and I went out there, and yes, it does smell. It smells like you're standing right next to a garbage dump.
Yeah, and so what do they do out there at the plant? Explain.
They take animal carcasses, they cook the meat, they cook the rendering, they use it for pet food, they use it for other purposes. Darling, a big, $2 billion a year company. So they're based in Texas.
So it's like a slaughterhouse, basically, is what it is.
Kind of. I mean, it's a meat rendering plant. I don't know if there's much difference,
No.
But the idea is that it's been a problem in that neighborhood. You can blame, this was there first and the houses were built around it, or vice versa. But either way, their house is a block or two away. And the people there feel it's a matter of environmental justice. That because it's the poor part of Fresno, West Fresno, and their voices have not been heard for a long time because they're people of color, then it's okay to put these industrial plants in their neighborhoods. And it was a long time coming. There is a current lawsuit.
What was the vote, by the way?
Is unanimous.
Unanimous that they were going to move the plant. And when is this going to take place?
Well, they had the first and second vote yesterday. And so the process, I imagine, is starting. There's been no timetable of when exactly the move is going to happen. It's not necessarily contingent, but there is a factor in the contract that the city has with Darling that they need to apply for this federal tax program.
Oh.
It's called the New Market Tax Program. It's up to $9 million for situations like this to help in low-income areas, to help these industries move, to help with construction. But the city is going to be having a lot of entitlements, a lot of giveaways. First of all, the land. It is next to the current wastewater treatment plant at Cornelia and Jensen. And, they're out there, it's the wastewater plant. There's a PG&E substation there. There's kind of farmland that is a buffer zone around the wastewater plant. That is the area where the proposal is going. They're going to give 20 acres for free for Darling to move there. And that will allow Darling to build from scratch so they can use the most modern technology, which they say will help with the odor problem. It's a little less populated out there. You're not building near a neighborhood, although there are people who live out there, but obviously not as densely populated.
Eventually, it may be populated to a certain extent in the years to come.
Right now, Darling will have an option to purchase 20 more acres right adjacent for $22,000 an acre, so that's about $440,000. That's land cost. Now, the city has also agreed to put in some PG&E gas lines, some methane gas lines, some water work. Tommy Escada, the public utilities director, estimates that's about $5 to $6 million on the city's end. And, of course, lots and lots of tax and permit fee abatements. In essence, either they'll be rebated or they'll be reduced
Tax incentives
for Darling to move there.
Yeah.
Now, Darling will be able to double its output, or just about double its output, from about 800,000 pounds a day to $1.4 million on average. So it seems to be a great deal for Darling. The people of West Fresno are happy. Fresno City Council was tripping over themselves last week to vote on it, but there's some complications that I'm sure we'll get into.
But wait a second now. David brings up some good points here, but the bottom line is, Doug, there is this attorney by the name of Ashley Werner. She's an attorney for Leadership Council for Justice and Accountability. There is a lawsuit that's targeting this company, Darling. Is this lawsuit still in effect now that they've agreed to move, or is the lawsuit going to be dropped?
Well, that was,
what's happening there?
That was the previous lawsuit that didn't go very far. As a matter of fact, the city tried to take them out earlier, four years ago, and they lost the lawsuit because you cannot take the ability for someone who has a by right use to where they are and they've been there and all of a sudden pull the rug out from underneath them. So,
Yes, but this has been a nuisance.
Well,
for
okay.
60 years for
let's
people
step,
that have been
let's
living
step back.
there.
Okay, this was out in
And I'm not taking sides. I'm just saying what the residents are claiming.
First of all, the plant has a purpose and a very useful purpose, and that is in our area where we have a lot of animal and livestock that die on you. Where do you go with it?
Where do you put it?
And this processing plant takes those animals, and that's why it smells, because you have rotting, dead flesh that comes in. It might have been dead for 3 days before you found them. So. Yeah, it's going to smell, and I presume the new plant will have some mitigation where they're going to have negative vacuum, so when they drive in there, the air will go in, not out, that kind of thing. I don't know how they're going to design it. But the neighbors, as the community grew out to where they are, all of a sudden the neighborhood is surrounding a plant that has a natural process to it that is going to create odors, and that is the issue. And the neighbors have been complaining on certain days and certain times, certain truckloads of more, let's say, longer period of dead flesh coming in. It can smell even worse. But the problem they have now by moving it, and no one has a problem with them trying to get rid of this and solve this problem in the sense of let's make a win-win out of it. There's a couple of issues that the attorney representing some of the neighbors. Remember, you're just moving the odors from one neighborhood to another neighborhood. And the neighborhood that you're moving into is a county area, not a city area. And that means the people who live around it don't have a city voice. They don't have a representation.
So who picks up the responsibility? It would be Fresno County supervisors?
Fresno County, and they wrote a letter, and they didn't get a very good response. And they wrote back, and we didn't get a good response from your city. And across the street is a neighbor who's threatening to file a lawsuit over the fact that there's a couple of issues on the table. Is one, you cannot have a remote area of a city that is away from the city limits itself and be a bubble by itself and not be only can be a utility. It cannot be for some other use.
So you're saying that am I understanding this right, that maybe a move out to where David said wouldn't be legal?
Correct. Without going through another few steps of the process.
Which are what?
Environmental
stuff?
They're going to have to take it out of the utility area. They're going to have to put it in the county area, back into the county. And the county is basically going to have to do it. They cannot do what they're doing and have it on the utility property itself. They just jumped the square is what they did. They got a problem. The other problem they've got is the fact if you go read Fresno City Charter Section 1218, it says all public utility money cannot be spent on anything else but public utilities. You cannot spend it on other city departments. The people of this city voted in a charter amendment that's some years ago that you cannot take the slush fund called Public Utility Enterprise Funds and start moving them over to spend on city operations. There's a wall that's been put up. And they totally ignored that. This land that they're giving away to Darling was bought by city utility money. So hence they're just giving, it's a gift of public funds.
Which is not legal.
Not legal.
Wow.
Now, the issue here is the city usually does things and say, sue us later. We're just going to go do it because you probably don't have the wherewithal to sue us anyway. Well, I'll tell you, the neighbors that are threatening a lawsuit do have the wherewithal, and so I'm just saying that they could accomplish what they're accomplishing if they went through a few more steps.
Right.
And they probably could satisfy the neighbors if they could prove up the fact that their environmental mitigation is actually going to work. I don't think they went through those steps.
Yeah. Caller, you're on with both guests. Go ahead.
Hey, Doug and David, the issue of the reason it smells and everything, around the neighborhood, number one, they don't keep it cleaning it up, especially when you kill animals and whatnot, and you let it sit there for 1 or 2 days. But the cleanup crews need to steam it, even the stainless steel, and pick it up when it hits the ground and not let it sit there. That's why the smell goes out, and the waste treatment plants also is another issue there. But at the same time, the management is not up to par where, well, they have to keep it clean. No, by state law, you have to have it clean. You know, you can get all kinds of diseases, you know. But the smell, it can take care of itself by, because I used to be in, like an inspector of quality control, where we had people, when they hit the floor, it was cleaned up, it's steamed, they brushed it after the shift was over, they scrub it down, wash it down, and just take care of all that problems as far as the smell. There's a lot of ways to do it, so that's my only opinion.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I'm sure they've been trying to do that, but you know, there's a difference between the technology you currently have and spending the cost of upgrading your current technology versus starting from scratch, where you have the latest.
It's a little more detailed than getting a bottle of Pine Sol and wiping the floor.
Probably. Now, here's another interesting thing. Right across the street from the Darling plant is a Foster Farms plant.
That's been there for.
Well, you don't hear too many complaints about the Foster Farms plant, and let's say this finally happens. Darling finally does move away. Hopefully, the smell actually was with Darling, because who knows? Maybe they'll say, "Oh, oops, the smell was with Foster."
Sorry, it was with Foster Farms. Okay, you never know, Doug, huh? You never know.
You know, well, that's one of the problems when a city is, from a zoning standpoint, allows the industrial area to be there, and then they allow homes to start coming around it. That's an issue, and basically, the city's got a problem that they have to go solve. Unfortunately, there's not many ways of solving this without spending a lot of money to help the company move. And this tax credits, I'm sure they're after that so they can actually put in a plant that has a negative airflow. In other words, whenever the doors are open, the air comes in the plant. It doesn't go out of the plant. And I think that's probably how they're probably going to design this new plant.
Well, it's going to have to be designed that way, because obviously
right now
it's not designed
because everything's open. When you go there now, everything isn't open.
Everything just escapes.
Yeah, I mean the drop off and the processing is right out in the open. I think they enclosed it a little bit over the years, but not the true way of a negative airflow.
Hey, just be thankful for small things. Be thankful you don't work there.
Or
436
we're not being drugged in the pit either.
That's right. 436 Me TV option 11. Again, we're not taking sides because obviously this Darling plant, we need a plant like this. Obviously, the question is, where do you put it? Where do you move it to? And how do you have a plant like this exist in the city of Fresno or Fresno County without it being a nuisance to neighbors and other people that are in the area? 436 Me TV option 11. You may think by watching this show today that there's nothing good going on in Fresno. I say there is, my friends, and we are going to talk about that on the other side of the break. Back in a moment, we have an open phone line.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the KitchenAid appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Save big with KitchenAid. Right now, get up to a $1,000 prepaid MasterCard when you purchase select KitchenAid appliances. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today. When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Samsung big screen we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Time for that upgrade to an HD 3D web-enabled Samsung TV. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Well, my friends, we're back here on the program. We will get to the good things about downtown Fresno and some things happening there, but I got to talk about Gary Bredefeld. You cover the city council. You've been a Fresno County politician. You know what it's like to be in politics. You ran for mayor. So here's the thing. Should Gary Bredefeld, and we'll have his picture up in a moment in case if you don't know what he looks like by now, my goodness gracious, but we'll put the photo up anyway, just for you, David. Okay. But should this guy be talking about the NFL players taking a knee, Someone at the Hall of Fame dinner last night when they were going to play the anthem, somebody got up as a joke and said, "Do you want me to take a knee?" And just like, I mean, this is the conversation around the country. But Bredefeld went on a tangent. He talked about abortion. He talked about blacks and whites and Hispanics and I mean, I lost track of how many issues he brought to the table, grievances that he has with this country. David, is that the appropriate place for a council member? Yes or no?
By the bylaws of the city council, no. It happened during the city member councilman reports.
Yeah.
And the bylaws say you're supposed to talk about events that you're doing, events that are coming up, events that affect city business.
Right.
And you're supposed to do it in 3 minutes. Well,
a 9-minute rant.
And then the following week, Oliver Baines, he knew the rules too, but he felt he needed a response. He took 20+ minutes to do it.
Well, do you blame him? I mean,
no, I don't blame him, but
it's
I guess
equal time.
It's up to the presiding officer to keep these guys in line.
Well, and then, Doug, you had the city clerk, who's African-American, I presume.
Mm-hmm.
She was upset at Bredefeld. She walked out and she filed a complaint.
Yes and no on that.
Well, that's what it was reported as. But go ahead, Doug.
Well, I mean, that's evidently it was officially done because that's what we read, that it was done. I don't know if David, if that's the case, but
I don't know. I didn't ask her, but
look,
apparently she did walk out during the meeting.
Yeah, and look, Yvonne Spence is a wonderful person. She serves on and serves as a clerk to a commission that I'm on, and you know her, and I got to know her, and she's a wonderful person,
nice lady,
and
very professional.
And the fact
you know her too.
And the fact that those remarks by Mr. Bredefeld, I guess, got a little oriented towards one group of players in the NFL and went off on the whole idea that we have a problem here and let me identify each and every one of them.
But it targeted minorities, did it not?
Well,
you heard the rant.
Yeah, but that is standard operating rant on any of these subjects, and frankly, I think if he had his opportunity, he'd probably say it. Maybe he wouldn't take anything back, but he probably wouldn't do it in that format. And the fact that she was sitting there having to be forced to be at a same table and cannot move because of her responsibilities, I think created the problem for the complaint. I hope it all solves itself. I do believe it can be, but now that we are having to pay a lawyer for Mr. Bredefeld, that's coming out of
I don't agree. As a taxpayer, I don't agree with that. I don't know about you.
I think it's all boiled over. I think Councilman Bredefeld was very humbled by his colleague, Councilman Baines' response. He said so himself after Baines and many members of the black community castigated Bredefeld for his comments, and Bredefeld took it. He's very humble. He apologized for offending anybody. And hopefully the lesson learned is, city council time is not the best venue for having your ideas about social issues. Not that Bredefeld's changed his mind. If you follow his Twitter feed, he continues to post messages about the NFL taking the issue. It's something that he's very passionate about. Wow. Twitter is probably the best way to do it. On the council dais during your...
Not the best way.
Not the best way.
Not the best way. Because he didn't run on abortion. He didn't run on the rights of NFL players to take a knee. He didn't run on any of these issues that he talked to. He ran on what? District 6 issues. What do those issues entail?
Police.
The homeless issue. Jobs,
development,
development, whatever. That's what he ran on, Doug.
Yeah, and look, John, let's just put it as what it is, and that is he got what he wanted to get out of it, and that is publicity. He got on.
That's what he's always seeking.
And he got the fact that there is a split in the community or nationwide on this issue. The fact of it is he's now known as where he stands, and I think that's where he wants to be known as. And I think there is somewhat of that going on in any.
All right, but Bredefeld was yelling and screaming about "In God We Trust." We put that over the chambers. He wanted every city employee to carry a gun. Remember that? What other issue am I leaving out here? Is he okay? The question I have for both of you is he being viewed now as a divider, not a uniter?
Well, who who is putting him on the role as a uniter. He's supposed to represent his district.
Well, he's not
supposed to
is he uniting his district by making comments like this or no?
I don't know if anybody in his district's complaining. I don't know.
I don't know that either. But
it's not as. Why is anybody expecting him to unite the council or unite?
Well, he's certainly not uniting on the council, and you need a little bit of unification on the council, don't you, Doug, to get along and pass issues.
And frankly, I would wish he would spend his energies on, for example, pointing out the fact that this Darling thing is going to cost the city a lot of money if they lose a lawsuit. And those kind of things ought to be to the attention of a council member, not these exoteric issues that come out of the ether that that he brings focus to on the dais, which this council will not vote on in any form or fashion ever.
I know. That's the point. It's a waste of time. And let's put up another picture. Another polarizing figure, Brooke Ashton. Quick comment. Are they ever going to remove him as the chair,
No.
Doug? Can they legally?
Oh, hold on, I stole your thunder.
I mean, David. David, Doug.
Well, first of all, his term ends in next month, December.
Okay.
So what is the point of having an actual motion on the board agenda to remove him when you're going to pick a new president in December anyways? They're just people who want to punish him for his views, and yes, they're controversial views that really got a lot of people energized, engaged. But I think there's enough support for him on the board that it's pointless to actually remove him when you choose a new board president. And it still could be Ashton. There's nothing against the board bylaws for a president to serve 2 consecutive terms.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, well, first of all, there's an example where he didn't say what he said at his dais. He said it off premises in a question and answer from a reporter, and now the other members of the committee or his trustees are allowing it to be brought to the dais, and they're talking about it. And I think they're just as wrong doing that as somebody like we just talked about, Mr. Butterfield, bringing issues to the dais that don't belong.
Okay, so nothing's going to happen here. It's going to change over at the end of the year. He's going to remain on the board. They can't get him off the board completely. What do we got here time-wise? God, we're running out of time here. So I want to get to the positive things downtown. No sound on this, Carrie. We'll roll a videotape called Astros Win the World Series, and they did win the World Series. I believe there's a parade in downtown Houston today that were hit by Hurricane Harvey. They beat your Los Angeles Dodgers, David. Oh, are the Dodgers your team? Oh, I forgot.
No.
Okay.
A lot of Schadenfreude there.
Okay. All right. So they're affiliated with the Fresno Grizzlies. By the way, look at the crowd at Minute Maid Park going crazy.
Ooh, they froze.
Yeah, they froze.
They froze in excitement.
But that's okay. We can get out of that. Hey, Carrie, oh, look at that. They're jumping up and down. Oh, my God. Doug, how is this going to help the Fresno Grizzlies? No, it's all good, man. Look at this guy. He's got his Halloween costume. We can get out of this now. That's a CBS News report, boy, on Houston going wild. Maybe we have the videotape in the system of the aerial shot of Grizzly Stadium. Let's roll that if we could. I want to see Grizzly Stadium. How is this going to help the Grizzlies? They're affiliated with Houston.
Well, go ahead. I think it's going to be great for Fresno. And the fact that Fresno has now, in the last 3 or 4 different World Series, has been affiliated with a team. And now we have a shot, of course, with the Houston folks. But unfortunately, when the Giants were in the series, every day we heard about who played here and was moved up to the Giants.
We didn't hear much of that.
We didn't hear much of that at all.
Although Bregman played here, Correa played here.
Correa,
right?
yeah, and Correa is probably the 3rd greatest Grizzly of all time.
Right.
We saw
Altuve played here for a little bit on rehab.
Yeah, and Derek Fisher was probably the regular, and he scored the game-winning run in Game 5.
I know.
So listen, for baseball fans, I think it's great. To say that, hey, I saw these world champions in Fresno, and of course when they play at the minor league level, you get to know them. They're a lot more social than at the major league level. So for baseball fans, it's great. Is it going to get more? Is it going to get more
people in the seats?
Historically speaking, probably not. But goes back to the great Rings story.
Yes.
You know, as we know, the Grizzlies love to promote the replica ring. After
Yes.
this will be the fourth one, and it goes back to that Sports Illustrated cover in 2014. So you know, the Sports Illustrated 3 years ago said 2017 World Series champs the Astros, and when the affiliation changed, the Grizzlies had a promotion where they're going to give away those 2017 rings in 2015. The Astros said no, don't do that, but now I guess they can.
Yeah. Yeah, and here's the other thing. Roll the videotape. We'll talk over it, Carrie. Fresno Football Club. We got the Fresno Football Club coming in here. It's a soccer team, professional soccer team. Isn't that going to help the Grizzlies? And on top of that, you've got Fulton Street that opened up a couple of weeks ago. You got cars driving up. Businesses maybe want to come in now. Aren't there a lot of positive things going on in downtown Fresno, Doug? Pick it up.
That will outdraw the Grizzlies.
It will?
I agree.
Because of the demographics.
Well, what about Fulton Street opening up here?
Well, we'll see. Hopefully, it will do something for both Chinatown and downtown, because Chinatown already has a road in front of all the shops.
Right.
And they just didn't spend $30 million doing it.
Look, Lance Cardoza was here just a couple days ago. He says, look, the city of Fresno has done all they can. They're going to have cap and trade money. They opened up the street. Now it's going to be up to business owners to pick up the pace. Do you agree with that, David? Quickly, because
I agree. Yeah, you can lead a horse to water, but now it's up to the businesses and the people to come to those businesses.
To create those businesses, and it's up to the people to come to those businesses. You agree with that, Doug?
Well, yeah, because it's going to take risk by the business owners, unless the city wants to get in the business of handing out more money to people with incentives to come in with free rent or whatever. They're out of money doing that now. And they have the P-bid down there where they actually generate money off of each and every person's property down there that goes into a fund for promotion.
It's not a bad thing that they opened up the street.
No, we'll see if it works any better than what they had. The problem is they only have 110 more parking spaces. That's all they've gained out of that. So if they have a popularity, people are still going to have to park in the lots and walk around.
Yeah.
So it's that only adding 110 parking spaces. Now, will that be able to drive by and see a shop and stop, make the difference because I still have to go park in the back because there's no parking spaces? I don't know. It's all up in the air whether it'll work. I wish them all the best, and anybody who takes a risk down there is taking
We had a caller
the
other day say that he wants to see more restaurants downtown, maybe even eateries where they set up tables outside.
That's the plan. You know, I think, you know,
You talked to Craig Chardon.
I did, and his idea is if you build it, they will come. And Terrence Frazier's gone right and said he's partnering up with a well-known chef to bring some restaurants there. But it will take somebody to take that risk. You know, one of the big restaurateurs in the area, one of the big retail stores in the area, I'm going to invest in downtown. And I think when you see those, you know, whether it's a brand name store like Target, taking the risk there, or you know, one of the well-known restaurant operators.
Don't copy what River Park has done. Forget about River Park. Forget about Fig Garden. Just do your own thing downtown. Create your own identity downtown. Am I right?
I think they're obviously this is what they're trying to do, and if that is the identity and that is the MO to get them where they are, they're on the right foot. They're starting off. Now it's still going to be up to the businesses, the individual risk takers who are going to want to put a business in there, and the people like us who will want to go down there and frequent the place to make it work. That's the only way it's going to work, John.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, quickly, we got a minute left. How did the Dodgers lose? They had Seager, they had Turner, they had Bellinger, they had Kershaw, they had Kenley Jansen.
And they had Yu Darvish.
They had Yu Darvish.
who did not
Dave
deliver.
Roberts. So should Roberts have started Kershaw in Game 7?
Well, hindsight's easy to say yes. You probably should have.
Doug, what do you think?
Well, I agree. The fact of it is, though, when Kershaw gets up there, I went away from game seven, and turned around and came back, and all of a sudden he was gone.
Yeah,
what
Kershaw
happened?
was in there, and I'm thinking, why didn't he start Kershaw to begin with?
Yeah.
You know, if he's going to pitch him 4 innings or whatever Kershaw pitched, I don't know what he pitched in Game 7, 3 or 4.
Something like that.
Yeah, 3 or 4. Just start him, for God's sake.
Yeah.
You know, it's the end of the season.
Right.
So anyway, well, too bad. Houston won. And,
well, you know, I feel bad for the long-suffering fans who've had to wait 3 years since the Giants' last championship. It's a long time.
Oh, you feel bad for the Dodger fans?
No, I feel bad for the Giants fans. Think of all those babies who've not had a Giants World Championship in their lifetime.
I know.
All those 3-year-olds. It's tough.
I know. Well, I'm a Giants fan, as everybody knows. But anyway, have a good weekend, gentlemen, and thanks for being here. And by the way, maybe they'll bring that World Series trophy.
They are.
That is
over
likely.
here. Yeah.
That is likely.
So we could see it. All right.
Yeah.
David Taub, have a good weekend. Doug Vagim, good to see you.
Good to
You
see
guys
you.
will be back. Don't worry.
Thank you, John.
See you Monday. It'll be Habitat for Humanity. Have a great, safe weekend.